We work, we go to school, we save up, we plan. This means that we sacrifice the present for the future. And the price we pay for that is that we don't get the present. And that's a huge price to pay. What we're essentially doing is taking all the potential suffering of the future and bringing it into our now, all the time. In many ways, this is good, right? Because it allows us to plan, it allows us to predict. It's what has allowed us to live longer, healthier, and even build futures that are a little more similar to what we envision for ourselves in our heads. But at the cost that we can never be without that burden that the future puts on us. Think about history. We've always been preyed upon by outside forces, whether you believe in evolution or the story of Adam and Eve. In both, we became alert to those immediate outside forces. And then we became more alert to general threats. And then more and more alert to more and more threats. Eventually, we're so alert to threat that we can see threat in the distant future. And all of a sudden, we're aware of a future. And death and the limits of our lives and the few opportunities we get to do certain things. At this point, we're really alert. And again, this is a good thing if you want to minimize threat in your life. It's why industrialized societies don't face as many threats as non-industrialized societies. It's why people in industrialized societies generally live safer, more predictably, and live longer lives. It's because industrialized societies have done a good job minimizing threats, both immediate and distant, ever since they achieved the luxury of a certain level of awareness. But again, there is a big price to pay. How do I know? What if I told you there's no evidence that people in industrialized societies are happier than people in non-industrialized societies? What if I told you that most studies actually show that we're even less happy than people in non-industrialized societies? At this point, it should make sense why that is. And if it doesn't, it's not hard to see. It's why people who go with the flow are happier than people who plan, even though people who plan have more predictable and generally more successful lives. We've become so sensitive to threat that we're able to recognize threats near and far, and threats likely and unlikely. We recognize threat just to recognize threat at this point. Unlike before, we no longer just see threats with our eyes and feel them with our senses, but we picture them with our imaginations, and it consumes our minds and shapes our actions, which shape our lives. Picture any future for me right now. You see things that don't even exist in the real world, don't you? Things that haven't even happened yet or may never happen at all. And what happens whenever you think of your future? You say, oh my God, there's a future and it's coming. So you act on it. You work. You go to school. You save. You plan. You have to, because the future is coming. And you're so consumed by it that you cannot just think about the present anymore. And you don't just have to worry about your problems today, but you have to bear the burden of problems that aren't even here yet or may never even come. About problems tomorrow, next year, in 10 years, and problems if scenario A goes wrong, and B goes wrong, and C goes wrong, and so on. And not just problems that come with or affect just you, but problems that come with or affect other people who you see in your future, like a spouse and a child, who may not even be in your life yet, or may never even enter it. And you're consumed by it to the point that you act on it today. What does it mean to be conscious of the future then? It means you can forget about your day-to-day. It means forget about the paradise of the moment. It means to always worry. People in industrialized societies fully and constantly bear the burden of the future in ways other people cannot. And we live longer, safer, and more predictably because of it. But this is at the cost of happiness, because other people are more happy than us, because they don't carry the burden of the future everywhere they go. It's why that go with the flow, easygoing spirit with less going on than you, and with less security than you, is always telling you that you need to relax. So next time you're stressed out, remember, happiness is the cost of being conscious of the future. And ask yourself, are you willing to pay that price? Let me know what you think. Stay safe, and thanks for listening.